Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Athletes in Nutrition event. My name is Brittany Ame. I live in Southern California. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and coach. We're so happy to be having this conversation with you all tonight. As a former high school, college, and professional athlete, I focused a lot on my outer body and not nearly enough on what's going on inside my body. The nutrition aspect within sports is something that's just not discussed enough. And what tends to get more focus and attention is our physical training. So tonight, as you listen in, I hope you walk away with lots of helpful tips and knowledge that you can apply in whatever stage of life you are in or whatever profession you're in. With that being said, I'm going to turn this over to my co-host, Ade Takumba Falati, so that she can introduce herself and our awesome panelists.
Yes, as she said, my name is Ade Takumba Falati. I live in Southern California, but I am a Texas native by heart. I grew up playing all kinds of sports, but the ones that stuck were volleyball and track. Did that in college, and I had a career-ending knee injury that didn't allow me to play and continue my career after college. And so for that reason, I am so excited about this call, because I want our athletes to understand what it takes to play at the highest level and what they need to feel their bodies with. And so I want you to hear from our panelists. First, we have Cynthia. She is from Southern California. She's a volleyball coach and trainer, also a former collegiate athlete and a Spanish teacher. She's passionate about helping her children and her athletes make better choices to feel their body, minds, and spirits. Jamie Kenzie is a wife and mother of 3, living in Kansas City, Kansas, former collegiate athlete as well, former occupational therapist and CrossFit trainer. She's been inspiring healthy living for over 12 years. And now we have Ebony Coleman, wife and mother to 3 girls, living in Oklahoma, functional medicine nurse practitioner, and owner of Wellness Refined, where she focuses on alternative health and holistic health. So you came to hear from our panelists, and I hope that you have your notes ready, because we're about to go all the way in, okay? So first question is for Cynthia. Talk to us about how your household looked as far as nutrition and health. Walk us down like what you were eating on a regular basis as a kid.
Sure. So I grew up with both my parents. So my mom was always really big on, we never were allowed to have soda in the house. There was no such thing as a lot of junk food. And I think that she was really adamant about that. She even, as kids, told us a few lies about certain foods to kind of trick us into avoiding them. But I think in the end, when I, developed into my teen years, I learned how to have a healthier relationship with food. But I would say for the most part, I was very blessed to have parents who provided healthy meals, who showed us how to make the right stuff. And I think that really benefited me throughout all my athletic careers going into college.
Wow, thank you. Jamie, what about you? Give us a rundown on just your household growing up, what you guys ate.
It was quite opposite. I was a kiddo of the 70s, so it's like the introduction and rise of fast food, and TV dinners was such a special treat if we got that foil thing filled with food-like substances. Definitely soda was part of our, routine growing up. And I was a sick kiddo. I was a sick kiddo from birth. I was actually looking at my baby book a while back for a presentation. I was born in October of 77, and by spring of 78, it was in the hospital. By the next year, it was in the hospital, next year, hospital. So I just had a lot of respiratory distress, croup, pneumonia from early on, and watched also, my parents were both smokers, and they kind of battled that all in the household as I was growing up. My older sister struggled with weight issues. My mom had her on diets pretty early. So I was pretty messed up when it came to eating. So even by the time of college, I didn't have a career-ending injury. I became bulimic and had to end my career because of an eating disorder. So, yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. Ebony, what about you? Walk us through your household and what you guys ate as a kid.
Yeah, so originally from California, I grew up in a single parent household with 4 girls. So my mom and us, and kind of more like Jamie, we ate on the go. We were always at church, right? We went every single night. And so we were eating in the car, didn't have much time to really digest our food. It was really whatever was available routine meals, tacos, chili, hot dogs. And so our going out for food was more of like the 7-layer burrito at Taco Bell, right? So that's kind of what it was. But we were pretty blessed. We weren't very ill. And yeah, we all made it out the house without any big diseases or anything like that. But it was really, a covering that we had from the Lord. So honestly.
That's awesome. All right. So Cynthia, can you talk to us a little bit about what you do with your athletes as a coach, right? You're a volleyball coach. What do you do with your athletes to help them understand the importance of fueling their bodies well when they're more so focused on the physical aspect of the game?
I really emphasize with my kids about fueling their bodies with things that make them feel good. I'm really big on, what are you eating in the morning? A lot of my kids go straight from school, after school activity, straight to practice. So I always emphasize your nutrition and your preparation for practice starts in the morning. Are you preparing good stuff to eat, at night? Maybe you need to take 10, 15 minutes at night to, pack yourself a nice breakfast and lunch for the rest of the day. So when you come into practice, you're ready to go. A lot of it is also specifically for tournaments. Tournaments, I always tell my kids, your preparation starts 3, 4, 5 days leading up to it. Are you drinking enough water? Are you adding plants to your diet? I try to stray away from don't eat this, don't eat that. It's like, don't think of a pink elephant. What are we going to think about? A pink elephant. So I focus a lot on just having a lot of like positive self-talk about, hey, I'm going to eat this salad, not because I'm trying to lose weight or look a certain way, but because this is what's going to make me feel great and make me feel like at my best to perform. So that's kind of what I encourage with my kids. I coach 13-year-olds. So they're on that cusp of like their self-image is super crucial. So I'm really big on what makes you feel good.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for that. Jamie, as a former occupational therapist and CrossFit coach, I'm sure you see all kinds of injuries, right? Joint pain, soreness. How have you dealt with that in your own career? And how do you help your athletes combat this?
Yeah, so I love having that OT mindset. So for those of you guys who don't know what an occupational therapist is basically whatever function is for you, either how you were born or, if you have an injury and you've lost function, like our goal is to get you back to function, no matter what that was. And if we can't get you back to function, then we work to find like ways to keep you independent. And then we find adaptations. So I started on the side, actually, I would say like on the end side of the health and wellness spectrum. I was in the nursing home primarily with my OT practice, and I saw end of life. I saw, lifestyles and disease processes that would have been easily preventable with better nutrition. Had they known, it just culturally wasn't, like even me growing up in the 70s, it just wasn't culturally as, known how to eat well. And so I think in my 20s, going every day to a place that most people didn't want to end their life really like empowered me to want to be on the preventative side. So I've kind of shifted that to more of the preventative side, my OT practice. And so function is eating 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, which is what we're supposed to be eating. Then I try to help people find adaptations to be able to bridge that gap, as they're learning those skills and habits along the way to be able to get to function of 7 to 13. And it's not perfect. I really love that mindset of progress, not perfection for people, because there can be a lot of shame and guilt around health and eating. And I find that a lot of people have established eating lifestyles when it comes to the CrossFit side of things. And yes, there are, injuries, and a lot of that boils down to poor mechanics, I would say, and like the repetition of poor mechanics. And though I also find a lot of my peers are not, oftentimes not eating enough. They undereat, especially women, and often are not hitting the amount of protein they need to be getting in a day. So just really encouraging people to make sure to track, right? Like I think of tracking, like macros. just like a bank account. If you don't look at your bank account and see how much money's in there, then you don't know how much you can spend, and you don't know how much you can save. Same thing with what you're intaking. This is like, health currency. So when you're inputting fruits, vegetables, snacks, whatever, your dinner, you need to know what you can expend and what you don't have enough. And so a lot of people they have an empty tank and they continue to work out, and then that will lead to breakdown and injuries. So really helping people to be more mindful of what they're taking in.
Yeah, that's great. Ebony, for you as a nurse practitioner, many of us have heard the saying, genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what that means? How can we turn on and off genetics? And what does that mean for our younger athletes?
Yes, definitely. So we're all a product of our environment, right? Not just as a person, but our cells, our microbiome, our microbiology inside. So what we're feeding it, whether mental, spiritual, emotional, physically, is going to be expressed. And so there's a process called epigenetics that medicine is becoming more aware of, and it's the expression of genes. And so, yes, we all have our DNA sequence. Yes, we have hereditary likeness that is like from our parents, but what are we turning on or off? And so providing our body with the correct information, which food is information, food can be medicine if we utilize it in that way. We will be able to turn off or on the expression of diabetes or heart disease or certain illnesses that run in your family, or like cancers and stuff like that. So it's important for us to become aware of not only what we're putting in our body, but around ourselves, in our air, our pollution, all types of toxins that we don't even think about, right? And so specifically for sports, when you want to build that muscle, when you want to build that endurance, it's important for you to know, right? So you have to become educated, you have to do the research, you have to have the correct mentors, the people surrounding you, not only, like I said, for food, but your mentality. What are you telling your brain? What are you telling your spirit? And so it's important for all those things to kind of work together. And that's kind of what functional medicine does. We look at the full picture and really getting into what's going on at the root to see how we can improve. And so that's how athletes can really change their outcomes, by really taking the time to invest in themselves and research and getting around the right people.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. Hopefully y'all are taking notes. Let us know in the chat. I would love to hear what you're already feeling when you're hearing these things. If you're feeling like, wow, I need to know more about this, or, oh, I kind of already knew that. We want to hear from you in the chat. Okay, wonderful. So Cynthia, I'm sure that you get approached all the time about kids wanting to take supplements and like, what should I take? What should I do? When you have kids ask you those questions, what do you tell them? What do you tell them to look for when it comes to supplements?
Yeah, so I'm really big on emphasizing, everybody's body is different. Everybody's body needs different things. Some people have dietary restrictions, allergies. So a lot of it is taking the time to research products that I really tend to lean more towards plant-based products. I myself live a mostly vegetarian, maybe like 20% pescatarian lifestyle. So all of my products are vegan friendly and mostly plant-based. So I focus a lot with my kids on, if they have access to healthcare, to go to their doctors and maybe find out, are you deficient in something? I had a girl on my team who was constantly having to sit out. She was seeing stars and she was feeling really woozy. And so I said, hey, you might be iron deficient. Like you may want to go get that checked out. And it turned out she was. And she started taking iron pills, and that really helped her be able to kind of make it through an entire practice out without feeling like she was going to pass out. I personally take, Juice Plus supplements, which are plant-based products. They have over, 20 different plants in them. And so I emphasize that too, of just add more stuff into your diet. If they cannot afford supplements, I'm like, okay, add spinach into your smoothies. Everyone loves smoothies. Add a big handful of spinach, just like you would with fruit. And so it's just making really healthy decisions and being able to substitute certain things if we can't necessarily go towards the supplement route.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Jamie, what about you? What do you tell your clients about supplements when they ask you those questions?
Yeah, very similar. You know, like I said, we need to be eating 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables just for that micronutrition. However, like as an athlete, you need more than that. It's more like 16 to 18 servings. And I don't know about you, but like I can't eat that many in a day. I mean, I have good intentions, but I have 3 younger athletes in my house, right? So 14, 13, and 10. And, you know, I can only control what goes into their mouth to a point. So when it comes to supplement for even my own athletes in my house, the blood panel is really great to kind of know. And we go to a more functional medicine physician here. So he's done that. So I can kind of see where their levels are. And we make sure what we take has research that it's actually getting in their bloodstream. That's one thing I want to check with it. You know, does it have research to prove that? And then when it gets in your bloodstream, second, that it proves that it's doing good things for your body. And so similar to Cynthia, we also use that Juice Plus line of supplements, but we also use things like vitamin D3. And again, the blood test, you know, our doctor ran that, and he actually was even able to tell me I was giving too much to the younger one, and I needed, you know, so I knew it was getting in there. And so I had to find the right appropriate dose for him. And that was helpful. So if you can't do that kind of stuff for your family, I would recommend to look for that NSF label. So NSF stands for National Sanitation Foundation, but it is a third party that tests all kinds of things, including supplements, to make sure what they say is in it is. And there's no banned substances, and no athlete would ever be banned from competition. And there's also no pesticides, herbicides, or any other contaminants. So Juice Plus carries that. I know there's some other product lines that carry that. But so when I'm looking for things outside of what is provided via those food supplements, I look for that NSF label.
Thank you for that. And then Ebony, what about you? I'm not sure you get the question all the time. So what do you tell your clients and your patients?
Yeah, Cynthia and Jamie hit it right on the head. The third-party testing, making sure it's not made around pesticides, hormones that can affect your own hormones, especially for young athletes growing up. You want to have the best outcome long-term, right? So you want to prevent damaging your tissues and stuff as much as you can by not providing additional toxins when you don't have to. And in addition to that, Jamie mentioned she sees a functional medicine provider. It's important to do that because sometimes even when you're taking these quality supplements, it could possibly be a waste of money if you cannot absorb those nutrients. If you're having things like leaky gut, if you're having things like candida or yeast overgrowth, those things need to be addressed first. So that way we can make sure you're actually utilizing the nutrients that is medicine, right? The nutrients that is information to give your cells the best outcomes. So, I mean, I love what they both said. That's just really on top of that. So.
Awesome. And we're going to do one bonus question right now. You guys don't even know about this. But I have a question for all 3 of you guys. If you were to go back to your younger athlete self, oh, Cynthia, I see your face right now. You're like, no. What would you tell yourself? And I say that because that can be very helpful for other athletes that are on this call, maybe other parents that are on this call that are walking with their kids through their sports or maybe just through life in general. What would you say to your younger self looking back on the life that you had as an athlete? Loaded.
I'll go ahead and start just because Brittany and I, we've talked about this extensively.
Yes.
As much as, you know, I grew up in a childhood, you know, I had a home where my parents were really educated about what it was like to fuel your body with the right stuff. I struggled a lot in high school with thinking, you know, body image issues. And so that affected the food that I consumed. And I remember so many times throughout high school, I would go like an entire day without eating and then go to practice. And then, you know, I wasn't able to make it through a full practice. And then I'd get home and then it was just like, oh, okay, I haven't eaten all day. I get to have a 3,000 calorie meal, right? And so I guess what I would tell 15-year-old me is that food does not have to be earned. Food is required, it's necessary for you to survive, and especially as a, a Division II athlete, a high level athlete, you cannot perform to the best of your ability without it. So that's probably one thing I would tell myself is food is not a reward. Food is necessary. Fuel your body with the right stuff because it's going to help you in the long run. And it took me about 6-7 years to learn that. And even some days now, as I'm 25 and I have days where I'm like, I didn't go to the gym today. Like, I'm not going to have those Girl Scout cookies. And that's okay. We're all human. We all deserve to have the cookie. But it's all about balance. And I know that Brittany, you really emphasize that. I watch all your stories and stuff, and you're always like very realistic about your kids' health. And, I saw Leanna the other day counting dino nuggets. I thought that was really cute, but you also showed, the plants and the vegetables that she is getting. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely nutrition, eat the food, you need it. It's super important.
That's awesome. I love it. Jamie, how about you?
Yeah, so it wasn't until I was really 25 that I started taking that more whole food based journey. And I was on 8 prescription medications. So within 6 months, I was able to get off all of those medications, which was huge. And I would say I'm far fitter and healthier today in my 40s than I ever was, even in my teens. So if I could have seen, future me, like by focusing on adding more whole food nutrition, fruits and vegetables, instead of focusing on like what Cynthia said at the beginning, it was a lot of psychology. I was, when I focused on what I felt like I couldn't have or what was bad, then that's just what perseverated in my brain. And then, like it was it became a battle and anxiety, and I avoided it and probably underate. And so I think, yeah, younger me, if I could say food is immoral, there's not good food, there's not bad food. Food is just a caloric, intake for energy. And so again, if I could have just focused a little bit more on what I was adding instead of what I was taking away, I think I could have been a lot different.
Yeah, definitely. You and me both. How about you, Ebony?
We're really gonna have to switch up this order so I can go and say some of the good answers first. You guys are hitting the nail on the head. Definitely had body images as well, image concerns as well. So I'll just go the other way and just say that I am loved. Once you love yourself, all of those other things kind of can fade away. And definitely what Cynthia and Jamie said were really important as far as balance, not being too hard on yourself, and really just accepting yourself and accepting the recommendations that you're surrounded with. I had a lot of positive people around me, but I wasn't listening to them, even just having emotional concerns and really just focusing on boys, right? But really what matters most is if I had really took the time to understand who I was, I would have taken the time to research and say, hey, I do need these phytonutrients. I do need to eat the colors of the rainbows. I do need to take the time to see what are these things doing to my body. Because I had time, right? I was just wasting it. So that's what I would say to my 15, 16-year-old self.
Wow. Wow. It's hard to believe that it's already over. I'm sad to say that is our call for tonight. I'm so grateful. Brittany and I really do enjoy bringing women together and talking about things that are important. And because we're both coaches, we absolutely are obsessed with our athletes. And we know what it was like growing up in households where we were decent, pretty clean eaters, but just not knowing the full extent of how much plants do heal and how they can transform our health from the inside out. And so thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you so much, Ebony. You guys were absolutely phenomenal. I hope that you have so many notes and nuggets you can take away from this call. But we're so grateful that you're here. You could be anywhere. I know it's getting late in the South and on the East Coast, and you took your time to be with us. And we really appreciate you. We know that our athletes need fuel. We know that we need to repair their bodies when they have injuries and when things happen, when when their muscles are recovering. And we know that our athletes need to have good things in their body to take them to the next level. And so what we want is that we have something that's well-researched, something that's 100% food, that's tested, like Jamie said, NSF, and also informed choice, that's toxin-free, that's easy, sustainable, that's efficient, that's effective, economical, and it's easy. And we have a product that does that. our Juice Plus plant powders do that for us. It is easy because anybody can swallow the capsules. You can put them in your smoothies. You can open them up and put in your food. You can even take them in gummy form. It's efficient because we know that there's not any other way that you can get 30 plus fruits and vegetables in your body in segments like this. It's effective because the science tells us so. We have so much research. We have over 41 published research articles that are in medical, published research articles that are in medical books, also in nutrition and sports journals. And the best part about it is it's economical. You know, for a few dollars a day, you can really get your athletes the best nutrition in their body as possible. And so I know that all of us need this, right? Whether you're athletes or not, but our athletes specifically need this because they are burning so much all the time and their bodies need to be replenished with good things. And so I hope and I pray that you guys are urged to reach out to whoever to this call and ask them about what we're talking about, because your kids need this. Your son, your daughter needs this more than ever right now.